Paramatmane Namaham. Namaste devotees and Jai Sita Ram. I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to our Sunday morning satsang. This beautiful August 1st, 2021. As we join together, devotees, I ask at this time that you go ahead and join with me as you clasp your hands and close your eyes. Take some time, devotees, to take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, relax your spine, relax your shoulders, relax your neck. Use all of your energy while your eyes stay closed to focus on a form of Bhagwan that's most pleasing to you, one that helps you focus and join together with me as we chant these holy prayers. Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnata Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate Ishawasyam Niram Sarvam Yatkincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tektena Munjeta Magradhankasya Svidhanam Om Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahe Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari Om. As we continue on with our prayers, devotees, I ask that you join together with me as we chant the most powerful mantra in this universe, as we chant the Gayatri. Om Magakshe Varane Devi Akshare Brahma Vadini Gayatri Jagat Madhar Vishwayoni Namaste. Om Bhuri Bhuvasva Tat Savitura Varenyam Bhargoni Vasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhuri Bhuvasva Tat Savitura Varenyam Bhargoni Vasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Om Bhuri Bhuvasva Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargoni Vasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Hari Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Prem Gayatri Mata Ki Sita Ram devotees, I apologize. We had some technical difficulties. I did not know that the screen had frozen and the audio had stopped, so I do apologize for that. I'm going to go back just for a moment, and we will recap one of the prayers before we move on. I think this is going to be the most appropriate, but we offer prayers to the remover and destroyer of all obstacles in our life and in this universe. I ask that you join together with me as we offer prayers to Lord Ganesh. Om Shri Ganapati Namaha. Om Jananam Bhutaganadi Sevitam Kapita Jambu Palacharam Shanam Umasutam Shoka Vinashakarakam Namami Viganesh Varapada Pankajam Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirviganam Kurmi Deva Sarvakarishu Sarvada Om Raksha Raksha Ganadhaksha Rakshatre Rupya Rakshakara Bhaktanam Hayam Karta Trata Bhava Bhavaranavat Om Shriman Mahaganadipate Namam Prem Bolo Ganesh Bhagwan Ki Jai. As we continue to offer prayers of devotees, for those of us who are beginning school this week, it's important that we recognize that we offer prayers every morning to do specific devas. The first, as we just did, was Lord Ganesh, the remover and destroyer of all obstacles in our life. The second deva that we offer obedience to is Mother Saraswati. Mother Saraswati is known as the mother of knowledge and learning, but most importantly, she's the mother of the clarity of mind. We know that when we try to study, when we try to focus, when we try to accomplish a task, sometimes our mind gets clouded with self-doubt, with thoughts of negativity, or with distractions. So as we offer these next prayers, we say, O Saraswati Mata, as I continue to move into my endeavors, educational, work-related, anything that I perform, please bless me with knowledge, bless me with intelligence, but most importantly, provide me with clarity of mind, so I may set myself up for success. As we join together in prayer. Om Saraswati Mahabhangi Vidye Kamalanuchini Vidyarupe Vishalakshi Vidyamnehi Namostute Om Saraswati Namaskuyam Varane Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhiram Bhavatu Me Sada Siddhiram Bhavatu Me Sada Om Mahasaraswati Namaham. As we continue on, devotees, we offer prayers to that universal mother and that destroyer of all evils in our life. We offer prayers to Adi Shakti Durga. Jayanti Mangala Kali Bhadra Kali Kapalini Durga Kshama Shiva Dhatri Swaha Sudha Namostute Jaitam Devi Chamunde Jai Putharadini Haradini Jai Sarvakate Devi Kanaratri Namostute Adivi Sarvamuteshu Vishnu Mayiti Shamdita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Adivi Sarvamuteshu Buddhi Rupena Samstita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvamuteshu Lakshmi Rupena Samsita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvamuteshu Shakti Rupena Samsita Namastasye 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 Namo Namaya Devi Sarvamuteshu Shraddha Rupena Samstita Namastasye, Namastasye, Namastasye Namo Namaya Devi Sarvamuteshu Shanti Rupena Samstita Namastasye, Namastasye, Namastasye Namo Namaya Devi Sarvamuteshu Ushni Rupena Samstita Namastasye, Namastasye, Namastasye Namo Namaya Devi Sarvamuteshu Daya Rupena Samstita Namastasye, Namastasye, Namastasye Namo Namah. As we pray to Mother Durga devotees, we say, O Durga Mata, Thou art the universal mother, and we, your children, worship you in your many forms. O Ma, we see you as Buddhi, wisdom, Lakshmi, prosperity, Shakti, energy, Shraddha, faith, Shanti, peace, Santushti, contentment, and Daya, compassion. And as we pray to you, Ma, we state Namastasye, 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 Namo Namaha. We bow to thee again and again. Devotees, we offer prayers to Mother Durga in the form of the Universal Mother, Matri Rupe. Ya Devi Sarvam Bhuteshu, Matri Rupena Samstita. Namastasye, 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 Namo Namaha. Dehi Saubhagyam Arogyam, Dehi Me Paramam Sukham, Rupam Dehi Jayam Dehi, Yeshu Dehi Vishu Jahi. Om Prem Shiva Shakti Mandir ki Jai. As we continue on with our prayers, devotees, we offer obediences to the most influential beings in our life. We offer prayers to the Navgraha Devata. Om Navgraha Devataya Namaha. Bharam Hamurar Stripura Kamari Bhanu Shishi Bhumi Suto Purascha Bhuruscha Shukra Shanirahu Keto Sarvengraha Shanti Rabhavan Sarvengraha Shanti Rabhavan. As we continue on with our prayers to the Navgraha Devata, we offer obediences to that being that exists in the form of the sun and that sustainer of all life in this planet. We offer prayers to Surya Narayan Bhagavan. Om Surya Suryaya Namah, Suryaya Namah, Suryaya Namah, Suryaya Namah, Suryaya Namah, Suryaya Namah, Suryaya Namah. Adineva Namastubhyam Prasidham Mama Bhashkaram Devakaran Namastubhyam Prabhakaran Namostute Suryaya Namah, Suryaya Namah, Suryaya Namah, Suryaya Namah. Om Prem Shiva Navgraha Devata ki Jai. Prem Shiva Surya Narayan Bhagavan ki Jai. As we continue on, devotees, we offer prayers to that sustainer of all things dharmic and all things righteous in this universe. We offer prayers to Lord Vishnu. Om Shri Vishnu Namaha. Om Shantakaram Bhujagnishayanam Padmanabham Surisham Vishwadharam Gaganam Sadrisham Meghavaranam Shubham. Om Lakshmi Kantam Kamalanayanam Yogi Bhira Dhyanagam Vande Vishnu Bhavaya Haram Sarvaloke Anatam. Om Sashankha Chakram Sakirita Kundhalam Sapita Vastram Sarasiruheshanam Sahara Vakshastala Shobhikostu Bhashriyam. Namami Vishnu Shirasa Chaturabhujam. Namami Vishnu Shirasa Chaturabhujam. Prem Shiva Vishnu Bhagavan ki Jai. And finally, devotees, we offer prayers to that universal Father and that universal Guru. We offer prayers to that destroys all evils in our life and in this universe. We join together as we offer prayers to Lord Shiva. Samsara Saram Bhujagendraharam Saravasantam Hirdayada Vande Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami Bhavam Bhavani Sahitam Namami. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Namah Shivaya. 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 Hari Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Devotees, this week, as far as I've been told, we've had 2 members and family members of our community that have passed away. The first was Uncle Dhutnath, Chotu, or Dabla, Uncle Dabla, husband of Auntie Jasmine. He passed away this week. The funeral was yesterday morning. And the dearest sister of Auntie Gloria passed away this week as well. So this next prayer that we offer devotees is for those who are suffering from various illnesses, diseases, injuries, and ailments. We ask that them have a fast, speedy recovery. But for those transitioning from this world to the next, like those wonderful souls that have left us this week, we pray to Lord Shiva, we pray to Bhagwan that their passage be as smooth and tranquil. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushnevardhanam Urvarukamiv Vandanat Mrityurmukshiyomamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushnevardhanam Urvarukamiv Vandanat Mrityurmukshiyomamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushnevardhanam Urvarukamiv Vandanat Mrityurmukshiyomamritat. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. Om Kartikeya Namaha. Om Nandishwaraya Namaha. Om Vasukiya Namaha. Om Shri Samasara Shivaya Namaha. Prem se bolo Shiva Shankar Bhagwan ki jai. As we continue on, devotees, I want to thank a few of our Mandir members for sending in some bhajans for us to listen to for our Sunday morning service today. As we continue on with our puja, we will go ahead and take a listen to some of those bhajans. We've got a good number, which is why we've gone through a lot of the prayers really quickly. So we'll move over and we'll get to those songs here now.
सुरगी देवी सरस्वती माँ, सुरगी देवी सरस्वती माँ, सुर्ग ज्ञान सिखारी माँ, हयनियारा इस हृदय में सुर का दीप जला दे माँ, सुर का दीप जला दे माँ। सुरगी देवी सरस्वती माँ, सुर्ग ज्ञान सिखारी माँ, हयनियारा इस हृदय में सुर का दीप जला दे माँ, सुर का दीप जला दे माँ। सुरगी देवी सरस्वती माँ।
Shri Rama Ramaya Nama, Shri Rama Ramaya Nama, Shri Rama Ramaya Nama. Rama Charan hai तीरथ पावन, राम चरण है तीरथ पावन, कपितु पहले में ये सावन, कपितु पहले में ये सावन, राम चरण है तीरथ पावन. श्री राम रमाय नमः, 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 श्री राम रमाय नमः. रामचरण मित मंगल धामु, नगर नगर में कथाएं सुनाऊं, सुंदर कपि प्रभु की मन भावन, सुंदर कपि प्रभु मन की भावन, राम चरण है तीरथ पावन, राम चरण है तीरथ पावन. श्री राम रमाय नमः, श्री राम रमाय नमः, श्री राम रमाय नमः. राम चरण भजु रंग गोसाई, राम नाम है सदा सुहाई, राम चरण भजु रंग गोसाई, राम नाम है सदा सुहाई, दास नारायण नायन सुहावन, दास नारायण नायन सुहावन, राम चरण है तीरथ पावन, राम चरण है तीरथ पावन. श्री राम रमाय नमः, 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 श्री राम रमाय नमः.
I do want to thank Gita Samlal for sending in those beautiful bhajans. One of them was the first song that we heard was from Auntie Lisa. So thank you for recording that and sending it in, Gita. And the second one was from Gita herself. Again, thank you for recording those and sending it in. And then the last song that we heard was from Uncle Walter and Auntie Sarani, recorded. So to Uncle Walter and Auntie Sarani, thank you again for your continued support and sending that bhajan in for those of us to listen to here on our virtual Sunday morning songs. Devotees, as we continue to monitor the Delta variant and the spread of the Delta variant of COVID-19, we will not be opening Mandir in the next couple of weeks as we had initially had planned. So for those of you who have anything that you'd like to record and send in, and we'll talk a little bit more about this at the end of service, but for any of those of you who have something that you'd like to record and send in for us to listen to during our regular Sunday morning satsang, you can do so. Email it to Shiv Shakti Mandir ga@gmail.com. Again, that's Shiv Shakti Mandir ga@gmail.com. At this time, devotees, before we commence with our sermon, for those of us who have a guru, I ask that we join together as we offer a prayer to our guru. If not, then I ask that you take Lord Shiva in your mind or any deva you so please as the universal guru as we join together and pray. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deo Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guru Namah. Om Dhyana Moolam Guru Murti Puja Moolam Guru Param Mantra Moolam Guru Vakyam Moksha Moolam Guru Kripar Prem Se Guru Deo Ki Jai. Devotees, at this point in time, we're actually very, very close to the end of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We're in chapter 18, the final chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, in which Bhagavan Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna a little bit more about what the material modes of nature are, Sattva Guna, Tama Guna, and Raja Guna, and how that relates to the actions we perform in life. last week when we ended on verse 19. A little bit of a cliffhanger verse again. At this point, Bhagavan Shri Krishna is telling Arjuna, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, 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 Shri Krishna Bhagavan Jnanam Karma Cha Karta Cha Trinhayo Guna Megata Prochyate Guna Samkhyane Yatha Vachtrunuthanyapi Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. At this point, Bhagavan Shri Krishna tells Arjuna, according to the 3 different modes of material nature, again, Sattva Guna, Tama Guna, and Raja Guna, each one of those being something different: goodness, ignorance, and passion. Now, goodness, passion, and ignorance. There are 3 kinds of knowledge, actions, and performers of actions. Hear those from me now. So, again, we have 3 modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. And we have 3 kinds of knowledge, action, and performer. So if you look at it, 3 times 3 means that we have 9 different things that we've got to discuss. 3 kinds of knowledge, 3 kinds of action, and 3 kinds of performers from the 3 kinds of material natures. In verses 20, 21, and 22, Bhagavan Shri Krishna goes on to tell Arjuna about these 3 kinds of knowledge and how they relate to the modes of material nature. In verse 20, he states, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Sarvabhutesu Yenaikam Bhavam Aunayam Sadhe Bhavi Bhaktam Vibhaktesu Hajnanam Hidhi Satvikam Prattahvena Tu Yajnanam Nana Bhavan Pratang Vidhan Vidhi Sarvesu Muntesu Hajnanam Hidhi Rajasam Yattu Krishna Varhe Rasmin Hare Saktam Ahaye Mukham Athat Varta Varhalpam Cha Tattamasam Prabhahritam Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. So again, remember the devotees, we're talking about Sattva Guna first. We're talking about the mode of goodness, then Tama Guna, the mode of passion, and then Rajaguna, the mode of ignorance. And we're talking about knowledge specifically. I'm sorry, Sattva, Raja, Tama. We're talking about the mode of knowledge specifically. He says that knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities, though they are divided into innumerable forms, you should understand to be in the mode of goodness. For Rajaguna, that knowledge by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity, you should understand to be in the mode of passion. And for Tamaguna, and that knowledge by which one is attached to one kind of work as the all in all, without knowledge of the truth, and is in which is very meager, is said to be in the mode of darkness. So breaking each one of these down one by one. In the mode of goodness, it's knowledge by which one undivided spiritual nature is seen in all living entities. What is the biggest difference between me and the person sitting next to me? If there was a person here or here. What is the biggest difference? all the differences that we see are physical differences. And what we know from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita is that we should not be so attached to this material world. So it's the material differences, the color of our skin, the color of our hair, the amount of hair we have, the way we talk, our sizes, the way we practice religion, the way we do things. But what should I know about me and the person who's sitting next to me? We are the same spiritual nature. We have the same spiritual nature. Deep down, we're all the same. Even though we're divided into innumerable forms, he said, you should understand that you are the same as the person sitting next to you. The golden rule, I think, is a very important one. We have it in Sanatana Dharma, even though we don't say it as the golden rule. The golden rule is treat others as you want to be treated, for the most part. So if I want to be treated well in life, I should be treating others well. If I want others to treat me well, I'm hoping that would be the same. That they understand that we're the same person. We're all struggling the same way. We're all going through the same trials and tribulations at different points in time and different points in our lives. And it's not up to us to judge and misconstrue how we need to live our lives and how we have to perform our individual duties. So in the mode of goodness, you see that all natures are the same. All living entities are the same spiritual nature, even though they look different. But if you're in the mode of passion, if you're Rajaguna, in the mode of passion, you see that in every different body, there's a different type of living entity. So your knowledge states that I'm different from him, and I'm different from her, and I'm different from him, and I'm different from her, and we're never going to be the same. And we're never going to be the same. You can assume that somebody who has committed a crime is probably one of the worst people in the world, depending on how heinous that crime is. But does that mean that deep down they're always going to be a terrible person? Absolutely not. Because no, at their core, at their Atma, it's the same as you as me. So every time you cast judgment upon somebody, devotees, every time you look at somebody differently than you, every time you do not abide by that golden rule, you're living in the mode of passion. You're being too stuck to the material world. Oh, her hair she's got those highlights. I need highlights in my hair. Oh, that person is, they've got the nice car. I need the nice car too. It doesn't matter. The physical things in this world do not matter. If you look at everybody as different rather than the same, you are living in a mode of passion. And the last one, the mode of darkness, is one attached to one kind of work as the all in all. The way I do things is perfect. The way you do things is terrible. Without the knowledge of the truth, knowing that everybody is the same, we're all struggling the same way, and which is very meager, you are in the mode of darkness. So next time you're at a puja and the pundit does something that you don't like, or the person worshiping does something you don't like, and you say that's not the way that's going to be done, you're in the mode of darkness. You're living in the mode of tamaguna. If those words come out of your mouth, that's wrong. That's not how I would do it. That's not how I was taught. Understand that you're being judgmental. Your duty is not necessarily to criticize and say what all is wrong, but maybe talk to that person and understand why it's different. Alter your mentality to make the world a better place, not to degrade somebody for the work that they're attempting to do in order to do good in this world. Don't live in that mode of darkness. So if you're attached to one kind of work, and you think that's all that needs to be done, that's the only way that thing needs to be cleaned, that's the only way that puja needs to be performed, without the actual knowledge because somebody told you to do it, without you actually having learned appropriately from it, then you're living in a mode of darkness. You're living in a mode of ignorance. Always ask your pundits, why do we do this? Where does it say? What scripture does it say it in? Don't say, oh, I was taught to do this because that's what my father said, or that's what my mother said, or that's what, some uncle in my village in Guyana said. Because honestly, unless you're fully educated, unless you can read that in the book, unless you know those scriptures, you're being a little bit ignorant about it. So understand and talk about it. Don't degrade about it. So knowledge, very important. Knowledge, he says that if you look at everybody in the same way, you're good. If you look at everybody and think that they're different, you're being passionate. And if you look at everybody and assume that everybody is different and you are the better version of everybody, you're ignorant. You're in the mode of darkness. So again, we talked about sattva, raja, and tamaguna for knowledge. The next thing the Bhagavan Shri Krishna says that we've got to talk about these three modes of material nature, not in just relation to knowledge, but in relation to action. Verses 23, 24, and 25, Bhagavan Shri Krishna tells Arjuna about these different modes of nature and action. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Niyatam Sangara Nitam Aravadve Sathakritam Apala Pripsuna Dharma Yattat Satmekam Uchyate Yatu Kampe Suna Karma Sahankarena Vapuna Kriyate Bahuyasam Tadarajasam Udahritam Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. Anubhandham Saham Sam Anaptisya Chaparusam Mohar Aramyate Dharma Yattatama Samuchyate Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. In verses 23, 24, and 25, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says that action which is regulated and which is performed without attachment, without love or hatred, and without desire or for fruitive results, is said to be in the mode of goodness. But action performed with great effort by one seeking to gratify his desires and enacted from a sense of false ego is called action in the mode of passion. That action performed in illusion and disregard of spiritual injunctions and without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress caused to others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Again, a mouthful of stuff. So Bhagavan Shri Krishna says 3 modes: Sattva, Raja, and Tama. How do these relate to action? For someone who is Sattva Guna, in the mode of goodness, their action is regulated and it's performed without attachment. You do not love or hate the work because you're not staying too attached to it. And you are not desirous of the results that come from that work. I will tell you time and time and again, every week I mow my lawn. And why do I mow my lawn? Because I'm attached to the way that lawn looks. When the grass gets too long, when it starts to grow over the patio, when I can see gnats and bugs flying around, I get distressed. So I'm so attached to that work. And with that being said, when I do other works, I'm still attached to it as well. Really, when I sit down for a puja, I should perform that puja without attachment. Whether I place that flower down or it slips from my hand and falls where it needs to fall, I shouldn't be upset by what just happened. How many times have you seen somebody do that in a puja? They have something, they drop it, they dang it, suck their teeth, they get angry. So when you perform your work, when your actions are performed without love or hatred, without desire for results, without attachment, when you are settled just doing what you need to do in your daily life, when you let things be as they are, when you know that everything's going to be okay, you're living in a mode of goodness. However, the next part, if you're seeking to gratify your desires, if you're enacted from a sense of false ego, you're living in a mode of passion. So for me, when I mow the lawn, I'm living in a mode of passion because I need that to gratify my sense of sight. And once my sense of sight is gratified, then my mind is at ease. But until then, I'm stressed out. If you go about things with a mode of false ego, saying that you need to do it for you, it's got to be done for you, or else you won't be able to settle down. You won't be able to calm down. You're living in a mode of passion. So if your actions are only set out to gratify your desire, and that desire doesn't have to be something mental, it can be something physical. You need the money. You need that car. You're living in passion. And in most of our lives, devotees, what I don't want to deter you from is saying that you're doing the wrong thing. Most of our lives we're living in passion. Most of our lives we are living in Rajaguna because we need to gratify our senses in order to live. We need to make the best foods. We need to have the good car. We have to have the home. We have to have everything to help our families. But you don't have to have the best car. You don't have to have the BMW or the Mercedes. You don't have to have that big mansion. You don't have to have the pool in your backyard to live. You don't need to gratify your senses to a point where you become numb to the world. You need to meet enough so that you can live. And the last one, in the mode of ignorance. If you perform your actions in illusion, in disregard of spiritual injunctions. So if you disregard what the scriptures say about performing your actions, if you do it because you think you have to do it when you don't really have to do it, and if you do it without concern for future bondage or for violence or distress causing to others, if you cause violence or distress onto others, you're living in ignorance. Somebody drives and they cut you off. So what do you tend to do? I've seen it before. I've seen it happen again. What do you do when somebody cuts you off? Do you just let it happen and keep driving? Or do you attempt to cut them off? Do you attempt to yell at them? Do you attempt to do something to them that will cause them to increase? They cut you off for a reason. Obviously, they're not in a good mind space. So do you do something to provoke them? And what happens when they get provoked? Bad things occur. If we try to tell someone that we don't like something because it doesn't suit our needs or because we think it sounds terrible, you're living in the mode of ignorance because you're causing them distress. You're causing yourself distress. You know, time and time and again, I'll see this with young folks who are trying to do something, whether it be sports, music, education, some sort of achievement that they're trying to do, and they're enjoying it. But then somebody comes up and tells them how much better they could be. How much better they could be at doing something. And this goes for any age. It could be somebody older learning something, somebody younger doing something. But somebody comes up to them and says how much better they could be at it. Look at this other person. This is what you need to focus on. And, you know, don't do what you're doing. It's not working out for you. You don't have the right to judge. You don't have the right to judge. So, for instance, let's say that somebody's learning to play the tabla. When they have a teacher, they have a guru. And that guru comes up to them and tells them specific things that they want them to know and to learn. But then you decide to come up to them and you cause them distress by saying, you know, you need to play more, you need to knock the drum. When you're playing that, you just gotta, you know, just like that, you gotta, what good is that doing to that person who's learning? You're causing them distress, but you're not educating them. You're trying to get them to do something in a certain way to please you, instead of living and understanding that whatever happens in this world happens in this world. You've caused distress onto somebody, and now you are living in the mode of ignorance because you assume that it has to be done in one way. If you perform your actions without the fruitive results, without attachment, without being concerned about how it makes you feel, you won't be living in that mode of ignorance. But understand that latter end. If you decide to cause violence or distress to others, you are in the mode of ignorance. And I apologize, devotees, because of our technical difficulties, I'm running out of time. And the last part that we're going to talk about today for our sermon. Bhagwan Shri Krishna says we have to talk about Sattva, Tama, and Rajaguna in the mode of the performer of action. So we have knowledge, we talked about action. Knowledge and action. But now we need to understand the performer of action. So, in verses 26, 27, and 28, Bhagwan Shri Krishna goes on to tell Arjuna a little further about this. He says, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Mukta Sango Naham Vani, Kritya Utsaha Samanvita, Siddha Asim Gurnirvikara, Kartha Satvika Uchyate, Ragi Karama Phala Pritsura, Lubho Hima Satmo Suchi, Harsa Sokhanvita Karta, Rajasa Parihirditha, Ayukta Prakrita Stabdha, Satvona Skriptula Sabha, Visani Hirvasutrecha, Karta Tama Samuchyate, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. And verses 26, 27, 28, Bhagwan Shri Krishna says, one who performs his duty without association and the modes of material nature, without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm, and without wavering in success or failure, is said to be a worker in the mode of goodness. However, a worker who is attached to the work and the fruits of the work, desiring to enjoy those fruits, and who is greedy, always envious, impure, and moved by joy and sorrow, is said to be in the mode of passion. And finally, the worker who is always engaged in work against the injunctions of the scripture, who is materialistic, obstinate, cheating, and an expert in insulting others, who is lazy, always morose, and procrastinating, is said to be a worker in the mode of ignorance. A lot of this that we just heard, devotees, is stuff that he talked about in the action, but now he's talking about the performer of that action. He's talking about you. He's talking about me. He's talking about all living entities. In verse 26, if you do this without false ego, with great determination and enthusiasm. So be happy with the work that you're doing, no matter what the result is. Without wavering in success or failure. What stops you from doing something a lot of the times? It's that fear of failure. It's that fear that you're not going to be doing well. Whatever the result is, devotees, is going to be the result. At the end of the day, whatever you do, the result is going to be the result. You have to be happy with the result no matter what. That's what Bhagwan Sri Krishna is saying. That's somebody who's balanced. If you're not happy with the result every single time you do something, you're just going to be living in this really dark place all the time, where you never are satisfied with any of the work. You're never going to achieve happiness that way. That's what he says about someone who's in a mode of passion. If you're attached to the work, if you desire the fruits from that work, how it makes you feel, that serotonin rush maybe. If you're greedy, if you're always envious, if you want what other people have, if you're impure, and if you're always motivated by joy and sorrow, meaning that you want to avoid sorrow, so you do something that'll make you joyous. Or you won't say something because you know it'll make you sad. You're living in a mode of passion. And to end it, for those who live in the mode of ignorance, you work against scripture. You are extremely materialistic. Everything has to be a certain way. Everything has to be a certain color. Everything has to be a certain way. I said that twice. I apologize. You're obstinate. You don't want to change. You don't want to listen to others. You cheat. And you're an expert in insulting others. You cheat to get your way, to make sure that you're always happy. You're an expert in insulting others. Remember what I said as a Guyanese compliment? A Guyanese compliment is tamaguna. Remember that. You're not so fat today. That's an insult to others. You're expert at insulting people. If you're lazy, you don't want to get up and do anything. If you're morose, if you're procrastinating, you could get something done today and be happy. If you get it done 2 hours before it's due, you're going to be living in distress. You are in the mode of ignorance. I want you to understand that if you want to learn how to live your life, devotees, I want you to read verses 20 through 28 of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in chapter 18. Because it tells you what knowledge you need to have, what actions you need to perform, and how you need to perform those actions. But as we end, devotees, we end on verse 29, in which Bhagwan Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, 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 Buddhir Bhedam Trijasjeva, Gunastastre Vedam Srunu, Dokchamadam Asena, Pratatvena Dhananjaya, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. He says, O winner of wealth, O Arjuna, listen as I tell you in detail of the different kinds of understanding and determination according to the modes of material nature. So we've talked about action, we've talked about knowledge, we've talked about the performing of action. Now we need to know the understanding and determination, how that works in our own lives based off the modes of material nature. Bhagavan Sri Krishna goes on to say information that we will discuss next Sunday during our regular Sunday morning satsang. Prem se Bolo Krishna Chandra Bhagwan ki jai. At this time, devotees, I ask that you will join together with me as you go ahead I apologize, devotees. I ask that you join together with me as you go ahead and clasp your hands and close your eyes. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, relax your back, your shoulders, your spine. Relax your neck, relax your forehead. And with all of your energy, devotees, focus on the form of Bhagwan that's most pleasing to you, one that helps you focus, and join together with me as we chant these closing words. Om Sarvesham Swasti Bhavatu Sarvesham Shanti Bhavatu Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu Om Sarve Sukhino Bhavantu Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschita Dukhabhag Bhavet Om Mantrahinam Kriyahinam Bhaktihinam Janardanam Yatya Pujitam Maya Deva Paripurnam Dhanastu Me Papoham Papa Karamaham Papo Atma Papo Sambhava Trahimam Pundarikaksham Sarva Papo Haro Hari Om Tvameva Matascha Pitha Tvameva Tvameva Bandhuscha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Mritam Gamaya Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Guru Deva Maheshwara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha Om Shanti Antariksha Shanti Prithvi Shantir Apa Shantir Aushadhe Shantir Vanaspati Shantir Vishwadeva Shantir Brahma Shantir Sarvegam Shantir Shantireva Shanti Sama Shantireni Hari Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tatsat प्रेम से बोलो गणेश भगवान की जय प्रेम से बोलो सरस्वती माता की जय प्रेम से बोलो आदि शक्ति दुर्गा माता की जय प्रेम से बोलो नवग्रह देवता की जय प्रेम से बोलो विष्णु भगवान की जय प्रेम से बोलो शिव शंकर भगवान की जय प्रेम से बोलो शिव शक्ति मंदिर की जय प्रेम से बोलो सनातन धर्म की जय Devotees, with this we've come to the end of our Sunday morning satsang, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being here and joining us either live or watching in the future as we perform our Sunday morning puja. Just a few announcements from my end in terms of what we've got going on the calendar side. In the month of August, which I know this year's going, it seems like it goes by slow some days and it seems like it's going by really fast. I blinked, and before I knew it, it was August 1st, which is today. In the month of August, we've got 3 different events that are occurring. The first is on Saturday, August 14th, is known as Goswami Tulsidas Jayanti, or the birth of Tulsidas. We'll talk a little bit more about that when that time comes. On Sunday, August 22nd, marks a period known as Raksha Bandhan. And so for those of you who have a sibling, go ahead and try it as best as you can to either call each other, talk to each other, catch up if you haven't done so in a while. And then on Sunday, August 29th, 2021, will mark the period known as, or the event known as Krishna Janamashmi, or the birth of Bhagwan Shri Krishna. Due to what we know about the way the Delta variant is spreading right now, devotees, we have made the decision that that puja will be done virtually. It will not be done in person, and we will be streaming it live on that Sunday. We will be doing for that Sunday is we will not have a regular Sunday morning service. What we'll do is we'll send an email out updating this. We'll email everybody and let you know that we're going to be performing our puja on Sunday in the evening time to correlate with Shri Krishna Janamashmi. But we'll draft an email out. We'll get that sent out to you all here in the next week or two, so you're more up to date and knowing exactly how and when and what we're going to be doing to performing Krishna Janamashmi. With that being said, devotees, I want to thank you again for all tuning in. I will now hand the microphone over to our president for the first time in how many weeks? For a few closing announcements.
Sita Ram, devotees, it has indeed been a very long time since I spoke to you all. COVID-19, the Delta variant, have caused us to delay opening of our mandir, sadly enough. However, this virus, this pandemic, have as you reflect upon it, causes to have many teachable moments. Teachable moments such as confusion, the different guidance that are coming out from the different regulatory bodies is somewhat confusing. If you take the vaccine, you don't have to wear a mask. Now you took the vaccine, you need to wear a mask. All the myths about this virus. What I will ask, if you have not received your vaccination and you're debating whether to take the vaccination or not, get yourself educated, talk to your healthcare professional, and make the right choice. Make the right choice for yourself, for your family. A teachable moment of anxiety. What's going to happen to us? What's going to happen to our family? Teachable moment of separation. We haven't seen each other going on to 16 months, 17 months. We haven't seen family members. The separation is it's taken an emotional toll on many of us. And teachable moment of support. Many of us have experienced certain crisis in our life over the last year plus, where community and family support was needed, and the lack of that support compound the stress on each of us. And with that said, I wanted to thank our Mandir member over this past week, especially by Hintara and by Barry, and then Auntie Gloria, and others, Sister Debbie, for supporting Sister Jasmati, who lost her husband earlier last week. Her husband passing was sudden. He died of natural causes. The funeral was yesterday, and I want to thank the other community members, Mandir members, who reached out to her with a lending hand of support. So thank you very much. Our deepest condolence to Sister Jasmati for the loss of her beloved husband. As much as it's painful, want her to know that our community is behind her to lend that lending hand of support. This past week, we have some of our members have celebrated their birthday. So we want to wish Ashwini happy birthday, Sister Mala Sahid and Sister Farida De Freitas happy birthday on behalf of all of us. Devotees, I will urge you to continue to exercise your safety precautions, take care of yourself, take care of your family, and hopefully with the upsurge in vaccination, we'll be able to beat this virus, and the teachable moment of anxiety and separation will go away, and once again we'll be able to be in the company of each other. Until then, take great care of yourself and your family. Jai Sita Ram.